Oh, you think you're built different and can survive a shark attack? That's cute. The great white in Jaws would be considered a therapy animal compared to what lurked in prehistoric oceans. Today we're diving into the ancient seas where even the smallest predator could turn you into an all-you-can-eat buffet before you finish your first desperate prayer. And that bone-crushing monster you saw on our thumbnail, that's not even the scariest one on this list. But before we dive into that, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. You might think the weirdest thing you'd see in prehistoric oceans would be something with too many teeth or eyes. But no, imagine swimming and spotting what looks like a shark with an actual ironing board mounted on its head. That's STETHACANTHUS, and it's about to teach you why judging prehistoric predators by their ridiculous appearance is your last mistake. Let's break down why this anvil-headed nightmare from 370 million years ago would be your undoing. First, while STETHACANTHUS was relatively small, about 70 centimeters long, or roughly the size of your average house cat, don't let that fool you. This wasn't some cute pet shark. That bizarre anvil-shaped dorsal fin, it's covered in small spikes. Scientists aren't entirely sure what it was used for. It might have been for mating displays or maybe even hydrodynamics, but I imagine it could also be pretty effective at shredding anything that brushed against it. But I could just punch it, says the keyboard warrior who's never even won a fight against a spider in their bedroom. Here's the real nightmare. Evidence suggests these creatures might have hunted in packs. So congratulations on punching one. You've now alerted and enraged the entire school. Well, its teeth weren't massive, they were plenty sharp and pointed, perfect for tearing into flesh. And this prehistoric horror was highly maneuverable, using its small size and flexible body to change direction quickly. Imagine you're enjoying a swim in shallow waters. Suddenly, you spot a weird fin approaching. You think, that looks stupid, I'm not scared. But then you notice more fins. And before you know it, you're surrounded by a school of anvil-headed sharks, all eyeing you like you're the prehistoric equivalent of a Happy Meal. Their hunting strategy was likely ambush predation, hiding until prey swam by, and striking with that remarkable maneuverability. Problem for you? Humans are slow, splashy, and obvious in water. We might as well wear a free buffet sign. Your survival instincts evolved for avoiding land predators, not dealing with pack hunting sharks with hardware store displays on their head. The worst part, these anvil-headed nightmares existed during the Devonian period, often called the Age of the Fishes, when aquatic predators were evolving new killing techniques faster than prey could develop defenses. You wouldn't just be prey, you'd be prey that evolution hadn't even considered worth protecting yet. While STETHACANTHUS might hunt in numbers, our next predator took the strength in numbers concept and added serrated teeth, aggressive feeding frenzies, and a size upgrade that makes modern piranhas look like goldfish crackers. We've all seen those nature documentaries, a school of piranhas reducing some unfortunate mammal to bones in minutes. Now imagine that, but with fish nearly 3 feet long. Welcome to the nightmare that is Megapiranha pernicis, this prehistoric monster that makes modern piranhas look like vegetarians. Unlike our anvil-headed friend from earlier, Megapiranha isn't weird looking enough to give you a warning. It just looks like a regular piranha that's been hitting the prehistoric gym and taking whatever the prehistoric equivalent of steroids was. These monsters reach lengths of up to 70 centimeters. That's over 2 feet of pure shredding power, roughly 10 times larger than the piranhas giving tourists anxiety in South America today. But size isn't even what makes Megapiranha terrifying. Let's talk teeth. They were serrated blades perfectly designed for one job, turning larger animals into smaller pieces. And science has found something even more interesting. Megapiranha's teeth were uniquely shaped, showing features between the triangle teeth of modern piranhas and the flatter teeth of their plant-eating cousins, pacus. This suggests they might have had an even more diverse diet than today's piranhas. Or I would just avoid the river, says the survival expert from their couch. Clever, except Megapiranha fossils have been found throughout South America, indicating that they were widespread in freshwater environments, precisely where humans tend to settle and get water. There would be no escaping their territory. And here's the true horror. Modern piranhas hunt in school of hundreds. If Megapiranha shared this behavior, and there's no reason to think they didn't, imagine hundreds of 2-foot serrated shredding machines in a coordinated attack. Some scientists even speculate these supersized terrors might have attacked other larger animals that ventured too close to the water's edge. The feeding frenzy of a Megapiranha school would make sharks look patient and reasonable. Modern piranhas can strip a medium-sized mammal to the bone in under 5 minutes. Scale that to Megapiranha size, and you'd be lucky to last 30 seconds. The water around you would turn to a red cloud as their serrated teeth efficiently processed you into convenient bite-sized chunks. What's particularly fascinating is that Megapiranha existed relatively recently, actually, just 10 million years ago, making them practically neighbors compared to our previous 370 million year old nightmare. They're a stark reminder that evolution keeps perfecting the art of predation, like upgrading from a steak knife to an industrial meat grinder. At least piranhas are straightforward about their intentions. They see food, they eat food. But our next prehistoric menace, it pioneered a whole new level of hunting by solving solving a problem no fish had figured out before. When you tried to escape onto land, this creature said challenge accepted and followed you right onto the shore. That's EUSTHENOPTERON, the fish that said nice try to the whole concept of land being a safe haven. EUSTHENOPTERON was essentially evolution's first draft of, hey, what if fish could chase food onto land? Living about 385 million years ago, this creature represents one of the most important transitions in vertebrate evolution. Its name literally means strong fin in Greek, which is a massive understatement. It's basically like calling a tank a sturdy car. What made EUSTHENOPTERON special was its fleshy lobed fins containing bones that eerily resemble the arm and leg bones of land animals, including us. They were proto-limbs strong enough to support its weight for short trips across land. Imagine the horror of climbing out of the water thinking you're safe, only to watch this 6-foot predator awkwardly but determinedly dragging itself after you. But I can just outrun it on land, says the confident viewer who gets winded climbing a flight of stairs. Here's the reality check. This fish was built for this specific scenario. The strong fins weren't just for show. They were powerful enough to propel its nearly 2-meter long body in pursuit of prey. Meanwhile, you're a panicking, soaking wet human in an unfamiliar environment with no weapons or shelter. The most fascinating part though, this fish had internal nostrils. Basically, it could breathe air. This wasn't some fish flopping around and suffocating on land. It was comfortable being a part-time land dweller. Its fossils have been found in river deltas and estuaries, exactly the shallow water transition zones where you'd try to escape from aquatic predators. Let's not forget those sharp teeth. EUSTHENOPTERON was no gentle plant eater. It was an active predator. It essentially invented the horror movie trope of the monster follows you when you think you're safe. What's particularly mind-blowing is that you're looking at your very distant ancestor. The adaptations that made EUSTHENOPTERON terrifying to its prey ultimately led to the evolution of all 4-limbed animals, including humans. So while it might eat you, you can at least thank it for inadvertently contributing to your existence before you became its lunch. While EUSTHENOPTERON was pioneering the whole let's try land approach, our other prehistoric predators were perfecting the art of underwater murder. Our next nightmare didn't need to follow you onto land because you'd never outswim it in the first place. Meet the world's first speed demon, a shark so ancient it predates most dinosaurs, yet so perfectly designed for killing that nature barely needed to change the blueprint for hundreds of millions of years. The fastest human swimmers top out at about 5 to 6 miles per hour. That's our absolute peak performance. Now meet CLADOSELACHE, the 370 million year old shark that makes Olympic swimmers look like they're moving through molasses. This wasn't just any shark, this was the blueprint, the original prototype that launched 370 million years of aquatic nightmare. The name CLADOSELACHE means branch-toothed shark, but don't let that technical name fool you. This was essentially evolution's first draft of the perfect underwater killing machine. And honestly, it got a shocking amount right on the first try. Unlike most sharks you're familiar with, CLADOSELACHE had something special, a mouth located at the front of its head rather than underneath. Think about that. This thing didn't need to roll over to bite you. It just needed to point itself in your direction. Well, I could swim away from something that old and primitive, says the person who gets winded doing a single lap in a pool. Not a chance. CLADOSELACHE had a perfectly streamlined body with broad fins and a powerful tail that made up an incredibly fast and agile predator. At up to 1.8 meters long, about the height of an average human, this wasn't some small experimental model of shark. This was a full-sized, high-speed torpedo with teeth. Speaking of teeth, here's where it gets truly terrifying. Like modern sharks, CLADOSELACHE had the ability to continuously produce and shed teeth. Older teeth would rotate forward to make way for new ones, ensuring this predator always had a fresh set of sharp teeth. Imagine fighting something that never runs out of weapons. Every time one breaks, there's a new one already in place. What's particularly fascinating is CLADOSELACHE's skeleton. It wasn't made of bone, but of tessellated cartilage, which is a complex tissue unique to cartilaginous fish that combines flexible fibers with a mosaic of calcified plates. This gave it both strength and flexibility, making it incredibly maneuverable while still having the structural integrity to prey on other fast fish. The fossils of CLADOSELACHE are so exceptionally well preserved that scientists have even found evidence of internal organs like kidneys. This level of preservation gives an unprecedented window into the anatomy of sharks and confirms that yes, they were absolutely built to kill from day one. Unlike our previous nightmare, CLADOSELACHE couldn't follow you onto land, but with 7 pairs of gill slits compared to the 5 found in most modern sharks, it had enhanced respiratory efficiency, which potentially allowed it to sustain high-speed pursuits for longer periods. You wouldn't even make it to shore in the first place. Sharks have remained largely unchanged for hundreds of millions of years because they get so much right from the beginning, and CLADOSELACHE shows us that the perfect killing machine doesn't need centuries of upgrades. Sometimes nature nails it on the first try. If you think a high-speed prehistoric shark sounds bad, Wait until you meet the Swiss Army knife of ancient predators, a shark so adaptable it survived multiple mass extinctions and had specialized teeth for eating literally anything it encountered, including you. Meet HYBODUS, the shark that looked at the Permian Triassic extinction event, which wiped out 96% of marine species and basically said, "Is that all you've got? I can do this all day." HYBODUS wasn't just a survivor. It was a shark that thrived for over 200 million years. For perspective, that's like a single species watching the rise and fall of dinosaurs and saying, "Cute extinction event you've got there." While you're panicking about your Wi-Fi going down for 10 minutes, this shark was adaptable enough to make it through the largest mass extinction in Earth's history. What made HYBODUS so successful though? It was essentially the prehistoric equivalent of a Swiss Army knife. Unlike our previous predators with their single hunting strategy, HYBODUS came equipped with two completely different sets of teeth. The front teeth were sharp and pointed, perfect for grabbing and holding slippery prey. But the back teeth, those were flat, crushing plates designed specifically for shellfish and armored creatures. But surely it had some weaknesses I could exploit, right? Says the person who gets confused by self-checkout machines. Not likely. HYBODUS fossils have been found worldwide, from Europe to North America to freshwater deposits. This wasn't just an ocean predator. It could even thrive in shallow seas, deeper waters, and even freshwater environments. Wherever you tried to hide, there was a version of HYBODUS that had already called it home. Most HYBODUS species reached around 2 meters in length, with some growing up to 3.5 meters. That's almost the same size as the great white we know today. And they came with a defense mechanism that would make even predators think twice. Spines positioned in front of their dorsal fins. They were defensive weapons that could cause serious damage to anything that tried to make a meal out of HYBODUS. The truly terrifying part about HYBODUS isn't just its physical adaptations, it's what those adaptations tell us about its behavior. This was a predator that could switch hunting strategies based on a prey. Tasty fish swimming by, sharp teeth. Nothing but shellfish around, crushing teeth. This level of versatility made HYBODUS virtually extinction proof in a way that specialized predators weren't, suggesting these sharks may have preyed on or scavenged early reptilian sea creatures. This wasn't just a fish eater, it was an opportunistic predator that could take advantage of virtually any food source in its environment. While our previous nightmares were specialized killing machines, HYBODUS reminds us that sometimes being a jack of all trades is the survival strategy. Evolution spent 200 million years trying to improve on this design and mostly just said, nah, it's good as it is. Not all prehistoric ocean killers were teeth-gnashing predators with a taste for blood. Some were so massive they wouldn't even notice you becoming part of their lunch. Meet BONNERICHTHYS, the 6-meter-long filter-feeding giant that wouldn't try to eat you. It would just accidentally consume you along with several thousand gallons of seawater. BONNERICHTHYS gladius lived during the late Cretaceous period when T-Rex was stomping around on land. Its fossils have been found in North America, specifically Kansas and Alabama, and across the pond in England. But unlike most of our previous entries, BONNERICHTHYS wasn't an active hunter with razor-sharp teeth and predatory instincts. It was something arguably more terrifying, a mindless vacuum cleaner the size of a bus. At up to 6 meters long and weighing an estimated 400 kilograms, BONNERICHTHYS was a filter feeder similar to modern baleen whales. It had a massive mouth and specialized gill rakers designed for one purpose, filtering plankton and smaller organisms from the water. Imagine a creature that could suck in an Olympic-sized swimming pool and strain out anything larger than a grain of sand. But filter feeders aren't dangerous, says the person who's never been between a whale shark and its meal. Here's the problem. When you're dealing with a 4,000 kilogram fish indiscriminately sucking in everything in its path, intention becomes irrelevant. You wouldn't be attacked, you'd just be processed along with the plankton. You would literally just be an evolutionary afterthought. What makes BONNERICHTHYS particularly fascinating is that it represents convergent evolution, where unrelated organisms develop similar adaptations to fill similar ecological niches. Millions of years before mammals took to the sea and evolved into feeding whales, this massive bony fish had already perfected the strategy. Nature essentially invented the same solution twice because it worked so well. The ecological impact of BONNERICHTHYS cannot be overstated. As massive filter feeders, they consumed vast quantities of plankton and played crucial roles in marine food webs. They were essentially the vacuums of ancient oceans, processing enormous volumes of water and extracting the nutrients that fueled these ecosystems. BONNERICHTHYS gives us a glimpse into the prehistoric ocean where not everything was trying to actively kill you. Some things would just kill you as a side effect of their normal activities. There's something uniquely terrifying about being so insignificant to a creature that wouldn't even register your existence as it consumed you. The open ocean has always been a place where humans are out of their element, and creatures like BONNERICHTHYS remind us that sometimes the most dangerous things aren't the ones actively hunting you. They're the giants that don't even notice you're there. At least the shark, you know where you stand in the food chain. With BONNERICHTHYS, you're not even registering as food. But you know what's worse than a big filter feeding fish? A big predatory fish with massive jaws made of bone. Meet DUNKLEOSTEUS, the 10-meter long armored nightmare that would look look at a great white shark the same way a great white looks at your goldfish. This is evolution's perfect killing machine, the final boss of prehistoric oceans. Let's start with the basics. Dunkleosteus was essentially a tank that could swim. Living during the late Devonian period, this placoderm, which means armored fish, reached lengths of up to 10 meters. Its massive head and neck were covered in thick bony plates that made it virtually impenetrable to attacks. Imagine trying to fight something that's not only bigger than you, but also wearing natural body armor. The true horror of Dunkleosteus wasn't its size or armor. It was its mouth. Unlike our previous predators with their conventional teeth, Dunkleosteus had something far worse. Sharp, bony plates that formed a beak-like structure. These weren't just any bony plates though. They were self-sharpening, ensuring that Dunkleosteus always had razor-sharp edges for slicing through prey. Well, I would just swim away, says the person who thinks they're faster than a creature specifically evolved for ocean hunting. Not happening. Despite its massive size and heavy armor, Dunkleosteus was surprisingly quick. Worse, it could rapidly open and close its mouth, which would create a suction force that would draw prey directly into those bone-crushing jaws. You wouldn't even need to be bitten. The water displacement alone would pull you into its death trap. But just how powerful was this bite? Well, scientists estimate Dunkleosteus had a bite force of around 8,000 pounds per square inch. That's comparable to a Tyrannosaurus Rex, by the way. For context, that's enough force to shred through steel. Your diving equipment, useless. Your bones, like snapping twigs. Your chances of survival, mathematically approaching zero. Dunkleosteus fossils have been found across North America, Europe, and North Africa, showing that these terrors weren't just isolated to one region. They were worldwide nightmare fuel. And here's something particularly disturbing. Fossils often contain partially digested remains of other placoderms, suggesting cannibalistic behavior. This wasn't just a predator. It was a predator that would eat its own kind if hungry enough. Named after paleontologist David Dunkel, who probably never imagined that the last name Dunkel would become so terrifying, Dunkleosteus represents the peak of armored fish evolution. These creatures were so effective at their job, wholesale slaughter of anything that moved, that they became the undisputed apex predators of Devonian seas. But the truly terrifying part, unlike modern predators that might size you up or get scared off, Dunkleosteus existed in a time before mammals had even evolved. It wouldn't recognize you as anything other than mobile protein. There would be no intimidating it, no scaring it off, and no reasoning with it. You wouldn't be fighting a predator. You'd be fighting a living embodiment of evolutionary perfection, honed specifically for one purpose: turning other creatures into food as efficiently as possible. So the next time someone comments they're built different and can survive prehistoric oceans, just remind them about the Dunkleosteus. But if you're still sitting there thinking you could survive all of these prehistoric nightmares, I want you to go to the comments right now and explain exactly how you'd survive each one, because maybe you actually have a good idea. You probably don't. But while you're at it, like this video and subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this. If you want to watch more dinosaurs you definitely have zero chance surviving, click this video on screen now.